everybody. I'm Alex Marqueski from Sign Builder Illustrated. We are live from the ISA 2023 show floor. And thankfully, Elizabeth Arenella Toynes has been so gracious to bless us with her time today on the show floor. She's been busy accepting awards from every publication you can think of. She's been on the ISA boards, giving advice to people. And, she comes from a family that has a lot of signage expertise, and she's a very talented designer. So we're excited to get to know a little bit more about her today. So Elizabeth, would you mind telling the people about your studio Zoe, that you run with your husband, and you do some incredible work for the Austin area and nationally?
Yeah, so we're a 7-person team in Austin, Texas. We do, we say we're lean and mean,
yes.
Which is,
Exactly.
We do a lot for a small studio. And I think that we're able to do that because we just have rock stars for team members. I think, we lead with design first, which isn't always common in this industry.
No, not at all, actually. Yeah.
Our whole team, actually, except for myself, are traditionally trained designers. I'm the only one that's not a designer.
Wow.
I know. I actually have an education. My degree is in accounting, specifically for small businesses. And that was kind of my history and pathway once I was an adult in careers. So I'm more of the business side of things, but my husband and the rest of our team, they're all traditionally trained designers. And so we're able to put design thinking towards how we operate in every day. And I think that that's just a different perspective. And that has made us shine in an industry that doesn't really have a lot of design.
And if you check out the article on signshop.com, you can see some incredible work for the Indeed headquarters. We got beautiful installations at a very popular Instagram famous nail studio in Austin.
Yes.
And, countless other projects. She's essentially always dealing with big name clients from what I've seen, and also ideas that are pretty out of the box. And I thought it was interesting that you mentioned early in your career, you were actually doing accounting work for a teenage fashion icon, it sounds like.
Yeah,
and
she was a protege, right?
Protege, yeah. It's
prodigy, whatever.
Yeah,
prodigy.
So you were involved in high stakes business, basically straight out of your degree?
Yes. Yeah.
So you mentioned that working for her really gave you some sound business advice and how to run a business. Could you talk about that a little bit, about the attitude that you bring to work and what you learned going up and achieving your current status?
Absolutely. So I think that the biggest thing that she taught me was that you don't have to fit a certain mold to lead a good team. And you don't have to fit that mold to be taken seriously.
Okay.
So I think that she taught me that by leading a business, and doing it how you want to do it, that you can be wildly successful. Working for a 13-year-old is always, it's an experience that not a lot of people have.
So I had a question about that. Clearly, this isn't too signage related. So would a 13-year-old genuinely be like sending you emails like, I need this done?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah, she was my boss.
Incredible. That is so wild. And
she signed my paychecks. I mean, I printed them, but she signed them.
I mean, you got to be humble to take some orders from a 13-year-old. But I mean, that's a really incredible story. And that's what I'm finding with a lot of people in signage is that, not everybody starts out their professional career being like, you know what, I'm going to be in signage. You kind of end up finding your way there through a couple of dealings. Maybe you get an entrepreneurial idea. Next thing you know, you're in the signage business. What advice can you offer for someone who is a young, talented professional, who is smart, hasn't found their industry that they want to work in? Why would signage be something that could potentially, light a fire under them or provide them with some meaningful work?
It's a heavy-hitting question. I think my knee-jerk reaction is my advice to any young person wanting to join the sign industry is run far away. No, I think that this industry offers a unique ability to help people, and I think that a lot of individuals really want to do that with their career.
Yep.
They really want to do something that makes a difference. And even though a lot of people don't look at signs and think like, oh, that person changed someone's life. You do, and when you start
you're affecting
working,
the marketing and the money that comes into small businesses everywhere.
Absolutely,
because,
and I think doing a sign, we work with a lot of big names, but some of our favorite projects are like the nail studio you mentioned, or like there's a small dental office in Austin where we did a 23-foot illuminated toothbrush, and it's freaking rad.
Amazing.
But I think what's so cool about that is these businesses are small, and this is bringing them so much validity and attention.
Very true.
And making them realize that like they are a legit company and they deserve the space they're taking up.
Very true. Yeah, a sign shop can really help a small business feel solidified in their branding and their marketing.
Yeah, it's a huge step for people in owning a business.
So, you mentioned you're involved with a lot of the business dealings, the business side of things. Mm-hmm. For someone who wants to maybe achieve a position like you, how do you go about getting to know a client and pitching to them in a way that's going to make them comfortable and want to work with you? Because it's really a sweet science, and especially in the signage industry, you're never sure what someone's budget is really going to be. Can you walk us through how you prepare to talk to a client and any advice you would have for maybe a young professional that would like to someday be in a position like yours?
Yeah, I think it's kind of there's some multifaceted answer. I mean, I think that being approachable, being a human, and not being just a salesperson, and really listening to a person.
Okay.
That's key. Helping someone feel heard, and for us, helping them feel like they're a part of the process of developing their sign, or we do full-on branding too. So for us, it's like really developing the look and feel of the company that they are going to lead and own, letting them be in on that process. It's an important experience for people to have. So if you haven't, the ability to do that, how do you get to where, like in the operations side? Well, learn how to do spreadsheets. They're very important.
Yes.
Be organized. No, that's
that's the accountant.
Yeah, that's the accountant.
Yeah.
I think that it's important to note that if you're a creative person, but you're not a designer, right? Like if you feel like, oh, I have creative ideas, or this industry is such a great place to be because there are so many positions you can be in. A huge side of our industry is trade related, and I know that that's dying out. And I obviously have a huge passion for trades, being a licensed barber.
Yes.
It's a whole other side of my life.
Put herself through college as a Class A barber.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. Still a barber.
Still a barber?
Yeah, still a barber.
Wow, okay.
Anyway, I think that there's such an important... Trades were such an important part of our society for a really long time. And our society has kind of shifted gears in expectation of going to a 4-year university, getting your bachelor's degree. And I also did do that, so I understand the importance of that as well. And I'm not going to downplay how much hard work that is.
Yeah.
But trades are there, and they are accessible, and oftentimes more accessible than a 4-year university. And this industry, you can start at the bottom and work your way up.
Very true. It's a common thing to see. Someone who started out in fabrication and now they're leading accounts,
Our art director started in plotting vinyl. Yeah. I mean, one of our installers that we work with all the time, he started in printing digital prints. It's like there's so many different positions and so many opportunities in the industry.
Yes. We had one of your fellow winners, Zach, was here just prior to you, and he was mentioning that, he isn't someone who likes to be locked in one place while he works. Mm-hmm. He's behind the computer. He's at the CNC machine. He's got a paintbrush in his hand. Mm-hmm. You can do everything if you work in this industry, which isn't something that a lot of other industries offer,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
You drive around town, see your work. It's got to be fulfilling to do stuff like that, right? or are you too much of a... No. Does it bother you because you see an imperfection somewhere and you want to go fix it?
So that is my personality.
Yes.
I'm like, oh my God, it's so dirty. Why don't they clean it?
Just keep a power washer in your car and
100%,
clean them up.
Yeah. I've gotten really good actually about accepting where the signs are and how they're living in their environment.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, you'll kill yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Over the amount of stress.
Because imagine, a lot of people don't experience that. Your work just happens to be very large down the street from you, and you have to see it every day. So if you notice an imperfection, it's going to bother you.
Every single time, yeah.
Wow, I never thought about that, actually.
Absolutely. So actually our company is really big on, our quality control is, we run a tight ship on quality control because of that.
Yeah.
We are not the cheapest partner, and we tell people that from day one.
Yes.
We will not be the cheapest option, but what you get is going to pass so many levels of quality control. You're going to get a great product.
Yeah, and I think that is Studio Zoe's reputation, from what I've read, is that people know when they agree to work with you, they're going to get full service, full scale service, advice on whatever they could think of, and a very, very professional looking branding situation. And you're saying you will also take care of their marketing materials as well if they want?
Yeah, so we're a multidisciplinary design firm, so we start working with a lot of partners from the very beginning when we build their entire brand. So their logo assets, their brand standards, we start from the beginning. But because we understand, we're a weird hybrid, right? In this industry, you don't get this a lot, but we not only understand branding because we're a group of traditionally trained designers that worked, my husband, who's the co-founder and my partner, he worked for Dell on their global brand team for 5.5, 6 years. His team is responsible for developing the first brand standards for Dell computers.
Really?
Wow. Which is crazy because it was just in the 2010s. So it's he understands what it takes to build a brand, and a lot of people in this industry don't necessarily. So if someone comes to us and they're like, "Oh, we want a sign," we're like, "Okay, give us your brand standards, give us your brand," and they're like, "No, can you just draw something?" And it's like, no. We can, but that's a different process, and we're happy to do it for you. But that said, my background, I grew up in this industry with my dad owning a fabrication shop, so I have the understanding, so do all our designers, of how that brand's going to be used. So now the people who are developing your brand understand how it needs to be rolled out to all of the assets it's going to be rolled out to, including your interior space, your exterior space, down to your ADA signs.
Incredible. Last question, as you just referenced, she had the unique experience of growing up with her father in the signage industry. She was always getting her car wrapped however she would like, fun posters framed, everything like that. Yeah. Can you just walk us through what it was like to be a child of a sign guy? And just, I know you said you didn't think you'd ever be back in the mix. No. You're in the design studio, you're working with people that your dad worked with years ago. How does that feel to have it come full circle and really, establish yourself in your own way?
It feels good. I mean, it feels good. I didn't think I'd be back in the sign industry. If I had to be completely honest, I ran very far. That was not a lie in the beginning. I really did run. Yeah. I went a very different direction, and I think that was important because I learned a lot of valuable lessons. And I think that it feels good to be back, but it feels good to be back doing this. When Russell and I set out and started this company together, we said, how can we do this and do it right? How can we make this industry better? What can we do to progress the industry? Because like a lot of trades, you're learning only from older generations because there's not a lot of formal training that goes into many trades. So some of the downside of learning from older generations is that some of the outdated ideologies are also passed along with that education.
That happens frequently, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
So I think that we came in saying, how can we progress this industry? How can we make a stamp that says, let's grow this way and let's make things better for these companies?
Exactly.
And for us, that was highlighting that the signage industry is first and foremost design.
Yep.
I mean, it has to be. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, you're just checking a box and you're settling. Now, for the sign companies it's two different fields, right? There are international sign companies that are there for large brands that just need it pumped and dumped.
Yeah,
Like they need it out. And that's not us.
No.
But there's a huge number of people that don't need that. And they need the attention and they need the help.
Exactly.
And so we've, done a really good job of training not only our interior team, but everyone we work with to think in this new way. And that's not always easy because we're not the first sign company they've worked with. So they're like, that's not how it works. And we're like, it is now.
And
so
that's great to hear because, and clearly your work is speaking for yourself, because whenever you're blazing a new path like that, it can get scary, it can get intimidating.
Mm-hmm.
People say, I don't have to give you this much information, just make me a sign,
Mm-hmm.
And so how did you kind of balance I'm sure there was a point where you got a little, not in over your head, but I'm sure it got pretty intense at one point where you were like, well, I guess I'm in it and I have no other choice.
Yeah, sure. That was like day 2. But
Because literally you think, little do you know, you're doing all the ADA signage, you're doing the wall wraps, you're doing everything. That requires areas of expertise that could be, infinitely expanded.
Yeah. I will say we work with a lot of great partners for the things. I've never been afraid of asking questions. It's been ingrained in me.
It seems to be a recurring theme that, no one's going to judge you in the signage industry. If you want to learn more, people are going to be happy to help you.
Absolutely, because it's the only way that this industry succeeds.
Yep.
Again, there is no formal training. Not to say. There is formal training in certain areas in the sign industry, right? And those are obviously very important, and you need to get licenses for those areas. And what I'm speaking to is like just the general knowledge of the industry. There is no formal training. There is no sign school, though there should be.
Yeah.
And we have, on a shameless plug, we've started a Sign School Saturday series on our social media. We do it. It's very informal, but it does try to at least teach the general public about different types of
we'll
signs.
We'll have to talk about that off camera and maybe share some of your videos.
Yeah.
That would be great.
So I think that, now I forgot the question.
No, that's okay. You answered it essentially.
Okay, great.
So, once again, if you go to signshop.com, you can see Elizabeth's work, understand a bit of her backstory, check out her website, the studio. Oh, this is my last question. How did you get the name Studio Zoe? I'm assuming most people say Studio DZO, which I was going to do.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Thankfully, I asked. It's a really cool name, and it just looks captivating and fresh. How did you come up with that?
So I can't take credit.
Okay.
I can't. My husband obviously did all of our branding, but also came up with the name. And again, it's about, we lead our company with design first, and we were bringing two industries together. We were merging design and signage in a way that hasn't necessarily been done openly before.
I see. Perfect.
And Zoe is actually not a made-up word. It is an animal.
Okay.
It is a hybrid of a yak and a cow. They produce more milk and are stronger and can carry more weight. So it's like the best of both of those animals put together.
And Austin-based, so a lot of cows in the area.
Lots of cows.
And business.
They're bred in the Himalayas, but you know. But,
and business is booming in Austin. I guess one more question. You guys were kind of got a head start in terms of settling down in Austin before it became mega popular.
Yeah, I mean, my husband's born and bred in Austin. I've been in Austin since '95, so I'm basically born and bred in Austin.
So what's that been like to see the city, just become what it is today?
Insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not the same city I grew up in.
No. And I'm sure signage has a lot to do with that. There's got to be a ton of signage all over.
Sure. Yeah, we're definitely, I want to knock on wood before I say this, but we're definitely somewhat recession-proof. We have a weird mix of very local businesses, but also very large chains, and we do support a lot of our own economy. Add to that, we're a huge tech hub now, which has helped our economy, but that's not really how we thrived prior to them coming. So I think it's been a great city that has seen a lot of growth, and there is a lot of work to be done. The sign market in Austin is flooded. There are a lot of sign companies based in Austin. Yeah. We do some work in Austin still. Obviously, we kind of focus our more artsy projects in Austin, which is a lot of fun. Yeah. We do a lot of projects all over the United States, as far as Canada, as far as Singapore. I mean, we're just everywhere. So
great. Yeah. Well, once again, we really appreciate Elizabeth taking the time. Her work is incredible. If you would like to get to know more about her, signshop.com. Check out her website, studiodzo.com.
That's right.
And, we're very grateful that she took the time today.
Yeah, thanks, Alex.